It's time again for the Insiders with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.
Hi, I'm Chuck Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader.
And I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
Scott, the word of the year is affordability, although Donald Trump sounds like he's only recently heard about it. But there are a lot of issues that come up when we talk about this. And I know it's been a thing that you have raised as a really important issue. I think it was one of the two issues that made the difference for Donald Trump. It's probably going to be back this year and maybe not as favorable way for Republicans. But what's your take? There are a lot of things out there. Data centers has come up. The whole thing with gas now, with the invasion. What do you see as some of the things that are going to be important in this area, and how big an impact will it have on the election?
Well, there's no doubt that affordability is going to be a key issue here. People are struggling. Even middle and upper middle class people are struggling to pay the bills on a regular basis. And so, whenever one price seems out of whack, people are complaining about that one, and then we shift to another one. So we've had our discussions about the healthcare prices, all the premium increases that we had back in the fall, and then we've had complaints about the property tax increases people had. Now people think they're going to get a win on tariffs. I think that's illusory. Presidents are able to keep issuing executive orders under different criteria and keep things rolling along. It looks like this president's going to keep the tariffs rolling along, just like Biden kept the student loan debt forgiveness going along, even though the Supreme Court struck it down twice. So he believes in this policy. He's going to stick with it. I think it's going to be pretty hard for that money to ever get back to the consumers from the tariffs. It's more likely, if it goes anywhere, to go to small businesses who are struggling as well, and they're just not going to be using it to lower prices. So we're not going to see that money. I do think the data center thing is hot. The polling, like the most recent Marquette poll and other polling, shows that voters oppose data centers at the moment, even though they're important to our economic future, particularly Democrat and independent voters. They're the strongest opposition to this for a variety of reasons. So I think it's interesting that in the state assembly, a number of Democrats, including some who are vulnerable in this upcoming election, they voted against the bill on data centers that would require data centers to pay for the full share of the cost they place on the electric system and our utility bills. So I think that's a problem for them. On the other hand, I do think with the international events and the price of gas going back up, what was a Republican winner there for a while because we had lower gas prices has probably now moved the other way and is probably an issue that Democrats will pound on. And it's sadly the price for the foreign policy decisions that the president has been making.
Well, I agree with some of what Scott said. I think that the gas issue is going to be a problem, and this is the unintended consequences of endless wars. Is that especially in the Middle East? One thing you would think they would have thought about is what's this going to do with gas prices? What's it going to do with instability? What's it going to do with people moving? There are a lot of bad things that can happen, and so the administration has 8 months before the election to get that righted and have gas prices come down. I think Scott's right. I think that that's probably going to be out there. Data centers. Dems voted against it because they are not allowing these data centers to do what they should do, which is to provide for all of their own energy on site if they can and make it renewable. That is what should happen with these things. This is new energy we're bringing to the table. Last thing we should be doing is make global climate change worse. And by the way, folks, when you always say, oh, yeah, everybody's against climate change, well, no, not when it comes down to voting. When it comes down to the voting, the Republicans are always happy to let it go farther and faster. And, if you wonder why you're getting bigger rainfall events and more major storms, it's because of climate change. But that's off of our topic. So let's try to get back to the topic. Besides gas and data centers, tariffs. Scott did not bring it up. I think it's critical. Not only did Donald Trump get tariffs out there, which raised people's prices, and they know it, and they hate it, and they're blaming all Republicans, and they won't have Trump on the ballot to blame, but they will have Republicans to vote. Not only do they have that, but now Trump is doubling down saying, oh, Supreme Court says I can't do tariffs. Guess what? I've got another way to do tariffs. This is not what people want. And by the way, did you hear what they said? Ultimately, Donald Trump, they say, wants it so that there's no income tax. Instead, it's all tariffs. You know what that is? That's like a VAT tax or something. It's a sales tax. It means that you, the middle class person, is again going to be paying more than your share. And guess what? All those tech billionaires, whether it's Elon Musk or the Ellison brothers who are going to control the media now, or try the father and the son, those are the people who are going to benefit if we eliminate the income tax. So this affordability thing, you know what? There's going to be a lot of yammering about a whole lot of other issues out there. But I'll tell you what, this is the one that actually probably will bring Republicans down. They do not believe them on this. Donald Trump keeps working against them, whether it's on a gas tax or whether it's on tariffs. And I think that you're going to see this issue really hurt Republicans as well, because people like to think that Republicans are better on these issues, but it's too obvious that they aren't this year.
So I think the Democrats have an opportunity here on the affordability issue, but they just keep spoiling it. They can't stop themselves. They keep saying, if we just had bigger government, life would be more affordable. If we just raised taxes, life would be more affordable. If we just had the data centers, which depend upon an absolutely stable electric system to work, if we just hooked them up to windmills, it'd be great. So, I mean, the problem is you guys keep spoiling what is clearly, I think, a winning message for you at the moment, because you can't stop yourself from adding in all these other issues. It's got to be a climate change issue. Well, no, it doesn't. People aren't looking at this as a climate change issue. They're looking at it as my electric bill. That's what they're looking at the data centers.
Yes.
But you're out there telling them, oh no, we got to like hook windmills up to these things. That's just not going to work. It's not the message that wins. And those Democrats who voted against the data center bill, I can't wait to see them make that argument in places like Green Bay and southwestern Wisconsin.
They're not going to make that argument there. Scott, you and I both know what happens is these days, with the races as expensive as they are, a lot of polling is going to go on. And the bottom line is that affordability will be the issue. And the 30-second ads will address it. Now, the Republicans have done a good job of taking votes so that they'll be able to go after Dems. But guess what? People aren't going to buy that. They're not going to buy it this year because in Wisconsin, the Republicans have had control for about 16 years, and people have had it up to their eyebrows. And so they're ready to move in a different direction. And frankly, Democrats could get by, as Scott is kind of suggesting, of just having a 10-second ad that says affordability, 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 Republicans bad, stop them, vote Democrat. That's it. That's all they got to do, because it is about that simple. Now, we've added a lot of nuance because Scott and I like to add nuance, or at least I do. And I think Scott does too. But the reality is that's not what the ads are going to look like. Those ads are going to go after these people. And I'll tell you what, that's why I am supremely confident that the Democratic Party will control both the Senate and the Assembly. And I think it's a slam dunk that Tiffany will not be able to get the votes in suburban Milwaukee. So it's going to be a trifecta, folks. Look for the trifecta. The wave is coming.
I'm looking forward to writing ads this year.
You've been listening to The Insider with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.